Hello, Dr. Tanisha Wards here. Hey, here we are, going into flu season with COVID. So every year I do videos and blogs and tips on how to prevent and avoid the flu with or without getting a flu shot. That's, everybody's personal choice. I have some thoughts if you want to talk to me. I speak to my patients individually on, if I think that's the right choice for them. But I always give tips and tricks to prevent the flu, stay healthy. We have a homeopathic, so that is similar in nature to how a flu shot works. So stay tuned for all of those, items soon. I talk about zinc and vitamin D and how to boost your immune system, things I've been talking about for a while with COVID. But this is our first flu season with COVID present. So I thought I would write a blog and do a video on flu versus COVID, or a cold versus COVID, and allergies. So I'm gonna break those down and kind of give you this is probably this is probably that, and what you could do about it. I saw a meme early on when COVID hit, and I laughed because it's true for so many people. The meme said, I wake up every morning wondering if I have a cold, the flu, COVID, or a hangover. And that is so true. Right? Like through this time when people wake up with these symptoms, they're like, oh my gosh, is it COVID? Is it just allergies here in Central Texas? So I'm going to break those down for you. I think this will help. So let's start with a cold. So a cold, yes, you can have nasal dripping, coughing, sneezing. Rarely will you have a fever. Rarely will you have a lot of fatigue unless the coughing's keeping you up at night. And rarely will you have aches and pains. So really, colds are more in the head, right? Like itchy eyes, runny nose, coughing, sneezing. That's more of a cold. And a cold is usually a cold is a virus, so a lot of it has to run its course to an extent. But there's a lot of things you can do to boost your immune system. And again, we'll watch out for future blogs for that. The flu's a little different. The flu, definitely you can still have some head stuff, but more you're gonna see fatigue, aches and pains, and a fever. You may see chills. Typically, you won't have sneezing so much. You may see headaches. You won't see shortness of breath with the flu typically. So that's one kind of thing to distinguish versus COVID, where we typically see shortness of breath. With the flu, yes, you may have the fever, the body aches, but really look for the shortness of breath with that. Allergies here in Central Texas, allergies are huge. So itchy eyes, runny nose, coughing, sneezing. I'm a big fan of neti potting for allergies, getting you can definitely have allergens living in your nasal cavity just from being outside. So flushing those out. Fever and headaches are rare. Sometimes you'll get maybe like pressure here, not necessarily a whole headache, but more like pressure in the sinuses. We do acupressure and acupuncture for that. And shortness of breath is rare unless you have some asthma, and then allergies can kind of initiate shortness of breath. So that's worth watching out for too. The next one is COVID. So we've been hearing symptoms of COVID right everywhere you turn on the news. But it can present different for different people. We can definitely see all of this has been reported. Headaches, achiness, fever, fatigue, shortness of breath, sore throat, sneezing, GI issues, diarrhea. But I think some of the more serious things to think for COVID is shortness of breath. Of course, the loss of taste and smell. We think more, okay, this could be COVID. And of course, if your symptoms get dramatically worse. So again, looking for things, often we're seeing fever. That's why people are taking temperatures, in facilities. But really look for the shortness of breath and chest pressure we found for COVID. And I'm going to throw one more into the mix. I'm going to throw in anxiety. And the reason why I'm going to throw that in is we're seeing it more than I've ever seen in practice. And I wrote a blog more than I saw in the crash of 2008. I saw a lot of anxiety then, more than, I was actually working in radiology when 9/11 happened. I saw a lot of anxiety there. People would come into the hospital where I was taking x-rays. I was in radiology with chest pain. And of course, then we do a chest x-ray and it was anxiety. So we're seeing a lot of anxiety right now. So looking for shortness of breath. It can leave you fatigued when you've had a panic attack and you have the chest, constriction and shortness of breath, then you kind of crash. Or if you're living in a low level of anxiety, you might have a lot of fatigue and malaise. So people are thinking, the shortness of breath could be a respiratory, SARS, COVID-19, and it's really anxiety. So working with someone to figure these out, I think is crucial. And really all we can do is focus on wellness. Focus on building your immune system, keeping you healthy, keeping you well, getting rid of foods that are inflammatory, sleeping well, taking supplements, nutrients you're deficient in, all of it. Just, consuming positive things around positive people, right? There's so many negative things going on right now, especially on social media. All we can do is focus on our own wellness. So if you need help boosting your immune system, looking into where your body's breaking down, that's something we can absolutely help you with. And also kind of navigating through anxiety and allergies. And, that's exactly what we specialize in. So again, hope this helps to kind of break these down. Dr. Tanisha Wards, and I look forward to speaking to you. Thanks.